What's going on, guys? Welcome back to this week's episode of Outside the Arena with Rob and Griff. I'm Griff and Senek, joined by my co-host Rob Goldberger, and we're back once again. Another week of NBA playoffs. The NHL playoffs started this week. MLB still going strong. We saw UFC 274. 274
Yeah.
It was last night. Charles Oliveira, obviously a lot of controversy with that. But he did beat Justin Gaethje, not the champion anymore, but it's all very weird. Canelo Alvarez lost last night to Dimitriev Bivol. I probably botched that, but something. Congrats to Bivol at the end of the day. So a good combat sports weekend, but we're really here just today to talk. We're going to be focusing on the NBA playoffs. And, we'll maybe talk a little MLB at the end, but we're just going to jump right into the NBA playoffs. And, we're down to, 8 teams now, I think, or something, or
8 teams. Yeah, 8 teams.
8 teams. Yeah. I mean, these series are all pretty much, I think they're all 2-1 right now, if I'm not mistaken. So everyone is, every series so far has looked good. I mean, Milwaukee had a really tough win yesterday. Memphis is kind of looking like John Moran. I don't know what exactly was there a update on him? How, if he's okay or not? Not sure at the moment.
Nothing. I think he tried. Yeah, not good.
Not good at all, especially with a team like the Warriors. Seemingly, yesterday it seemed like they just hit their stride.
Lots of tension in that series for sure. Two teams that definitely don't like each other at all.
Yes, especially with all the flagrants flying around in that series and everything like that. But
yeah,
I think we'll start with the series most relevant to you over here, and we'll start with the Philadelphia 76ers and the Miami Heat. A game in which the legendary Scott Foster is refereeing.
Oh my goodness, I'm terrified. So we have an unstoppable force versus an immovable object. We have Scott Foster on one hand, the series extender to make money for the NBA, and we have Scott Foster on the other hand, who's James Harden's arch nemesis. So I don't know, man. I just hope he doesn't make himself the star, but I don't. That's what he's known for, the Angel Hernandez of the NBA. So we'll see.
Well, obviously, yeah. In that series, obviously, Miami, they took the 2 games, kind of what you were worried about. They took the 2 games where Joel Embiid was not playing. Joel Embiid, though, came back on Friday, and Philly won by 20 points. A very impressive win. Miami not really looking like themselves in that game. Did play particularly well. I mean, Kyle Lowry kind of starting to come back. He only played 25 minutes, didn't score in that game, so really wasn't doing much. But I mean,
the story
game 4, I'll cue you up here. Game 4, I mean, we talked about it just before we kind of came on here, that this is kind of the make or break game. Whoever wins this game is probably headed towards winning the series. What are your thoughts heading into game 4 tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I just want to start out by saying, I mean, playing the worst player in the NBA versus, a top 3-5 player in the NBA is quite different. I mean, at the same position, DeAndre Jordan, I mean, it's not his fault either. It really isn't. It's not DeAndre's fault. It's Doc and Daryl's fault for bringing him on. But, I mean, he's the worst player in the NBA at a certain point. He really is. I mean, the total difference is Embiid really wasn't even himself. I would say he was like 60% of himself, if that. Not a good offensive showing at all. But the 2 main differences were the rebounding and the defense. The defense is just night and day. I mean, the Heat averaged 112.5 or 113 points per game. Their first, the first 2 games of the series, and Embiid comes back and they're 79 points. Obviously, not a great shooting display, but Joel Embiid, I mean, when he turns it on in the playoffs historically, the Sixers, defensive rating, whatever stat you want to use to evaluate them, has been historic. I mean, they only let up 92 points, for God's sakes, in the Kawhi closeout game in Game 7. But look, I mean, it's just tonight's the make or break game, and it sucks we had to drop 2 games because I truly believe that the Sixers, with Joel Embiid healthy, might have closed this out in 6 games. But look, it's all tonight's about I say it every game, but tonight's about James Harden. James Harden was a plus 27 last game. Look, he turned the ball over a lot, but at the end of that day, Griffin, when the Sixers starting lineup is on the floor, they are winning by a lot in both of these series. They have the best net rating in the playoffs when their offensive starting lineup is on the floor. The X factor, in my opinion, is also Tobias Harris. who averaged 24 points a game in the first 2 games. Sort of took a back seat. But look, Sixers defense is just excellent with Joel. And I think that's really the main difference because Miami, Bam Adebayo was getting whatever he wanted. And it was also the fact that, Miami could triple team Tyrese Maxey and James Harden on the perimeter without having to worry about any inside throw because DeAndre Jordan, and I love Paul Reed, but he's young and he's not any serious offensive threat. That, you can't do that with Joel Embiid. The one thing I'm looking out for is conditioning. I wasn't surprised he played 36 minutes, even though, they said they'd be looking out, put him on a minutes restriction because he hasn't dribbled a ball in a while. But I could see him playing 40 minutes again tonight. So that's the one thing I'm going to look out for.
Yeah, I mean, Philly at this point, you got to get tonight's win. So I don't think that they're going to be extra cautious. I mean, I don't think you're going to see Joel go out and play the whole game. But yeah, like 40-minute range, I think is probably where you'll see him close to. I mean, look, Philly game 3, they really had a good showing. I mean, it's Philly's, playing at it's still Wells Fargo Center there, or
yeah, Wells Fargo.
Yeah, Wells Fargo. I mean, it's a tough place to play in general. Danny Green also in this game, 7 3-pointers. So I mean, you look at that and say that's great, but at the same time, you look at that and say that's probably not going to happen again.
Yeah, but we shot. On the other hand, we shot 11 from 40 for 3. I think the first 2 games or something like that.
Yes, you shot close to 50% in game 3. Which is, with Harden going 1 for 7 from 3 too. That's, pretty impressive.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Sixers, they're shooting the ball well. And obviously, like you said, Joel Embiid, it's just a completely different presence from DeAndre Jordan, which, I mean, you expect when a top 3, 4, 5 player in the NBA goes down and is replaced by, not a good player at this moment in his career for DeAndre Jordan, who obviously has been a good player at times, just at this point is not at that level. But yeah, I mean, the presence, even on Bam Adebayo, I mean, you look at Bam Adebayo, he had 3 rebounds in this game and shot 2 for 9. That is essentially a non-factor out of Bam Adebayo. And I think this was probably the Heat's worst game that, we might see from them. I mean, they really didn't shoot the ball well. They shot 35%, 23% from 3. They didn't really turn over the ball too much, though.
That was the other. That's the other aspect is that the Sixers turned the ball over nearly 20 times and still won.
Did. I mean, Miami this game, I mean, not even 80 points, just a dead offensive performance. Jimmy Butler looked good, but, we're going to have to see how, Kyle Lowry, how is he going to start kind of getting back in? Because obviously he's been out. He's missed a lot of time. He really didn't look good in this game. How's he going to start fitting in and contributing? Someone's got to step up on this team. Can Victor Oladipo start playing a bigger role? He only played like 20 minutes in this game, 6 points. Like, these guys need to start stepping up because you can't be playing, PJ Tucker. He's a solid player, but, when you're playing PJ Tucker and Max Strus all these minutes, I mean, it gets a little sketchy. So we'll see. Jimmy Butler, I mean, he played good, but can he stay at that level that he played in game 3? I don't know. We have to see. And tonight is going to come down to what level is Joel Embiid at. I think Bam Adebayo's got to play a much better game because he needs to be a factor for this team. And James Harden, I think we've said it before. I mean, Tyrese Maxey has kind of looked like the second best player on this team outside of Joel Embiid, to be honest.
Can I just say one thing about Tyrese Maxey?
Yes.
Tyrese Maxey, when he decides to be aggressive, is so good. Like, I was very frustrated with Maxey because he had 0 points in the first half. And I was saying to my dad when I was watching the game, like, attack. Like, just attack. You're faster than them. You have Tyler Hero guarding you. He can't guard you. And he started attacking and he finished with 21 points. Like that's Tyrese Maxey's next step, is being aggressive throughout the whole game. And once that happens, watch out. Like, this dude is a star. He just needs to put it together for 4 quarters consistently.
Yeah, I think Tyrese Maxey he's proving to be kind of that key third piece. I mean, you can look at Tobias Harris, I guess, but I mean, at this point, I feel like everyone kind of knows that, what Tobias Harris is, overplayed. Yeah. Mediocre player at this point in the NBA. But I
would say he's above average, but one of the worst contracts in NBA history.
Yeah, I mean that's
fine, I think
it's not worth what he's getting. But tonight's a huge game. I mean, I'll be honest, I think Philly's got the edge right now. They're at home. Embiid's back. I mean, I'd have to stick with Philly. I know you'll pick Philly too, but we'll see. I think the way Miami responds tonight's going to be very interesting. If they just have kind of another sluggish performance, I mean, the series could be over before we know it. So we'll see. But, Philly, must win. They had a must win game 3, and I still think they're in a must win situation tonight because going down 3-1, So it seemed like Miami, who, people don't give much credit to, but they're the 1 seed for a reason. They're going to probably win one of those 3 games if, they go up 3-1 at the end of the day.
Yeah, man. Doc worries me. Just Doc worries me. I mean, look, Doc Rivers versus Eric Spoelstra just makes me nervous. I don't know what to say besides that.
Yeah, we will see. All right, I think with that, we'll shift to the other Eastern Conference series, the Celtics and the Bucks, which is shaping up to be a very good series. I mean, the Milwaukee Bucks, got a little close at the end there. They were up for, a while, but I mean, Giannis Antetokounmpo, I mean, this guy is just, I think Giannis is just the best player in the world. And I mean, I just don't think you can stop him. And that's what we're seeing. I mean, we saw kind of KD and Kyrie in that Nets Celtics series. These are players that are stoppable, but Giannis is just, it doesn't matter what you do. Giannis Antetokounmpo will not be stopped. This team right now, I mean, they're playing without Chris Middleton and they're up 2-1. I mean, I think the Milwaukee Bucks are I think people sleep on how good this team really is. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Jason Tatum had a disastrous performance yesterday. He was bad. And the thing about Jason Tatum is that, well, he's not like Jason Tatum just puts up some horrendous performances sometimes. Like when he's bad, I feel like he's really bad. Like, I don't know. Like this dude went like 3 for 17 yesterday.
4 for 19, 0 for 6 from 3. 10
and then I can't the story of the game yesterday, I mean, from both teams was obviously the officiating. I mean, I don't love when it becomes ref ball or ref talk for obvious reasons because of who I'm a fan of and, all what I hear. But Giannis, what do you think Giannis gets away with a lot? Like, what do you think?
In terms of fouling people or
in terms of the elbows, playing kind of.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because I think that there's just not, it's so different between every game, the reffing. And I think that's the problem. It's just if there was some more consistency, I think would be okay. But when you have these games where, Giannis is just, or any of these guys really are just getting away with stuff consistently. And, from game to game, you just see different refs calling different things. It's tough. And, I like that, some of these refs do let these guys play. I think that it's soft when, we're seeing guys just get touched a little bit and it's just, we're calling fouls every second. But do I think there needs to be some more, uniformity amongst the refs? Absolutely. It's just it's a tricky situation, especially for guys like Giannis who are just so big and strong that sometimes it's just part of his game that,
I agree.
He's going to be elbowing and people are going to get, roughed up a little bit just because of, his dominant nature of just a strong, big guy who just drives in the paint. Like it's just inevitable. And you can't call every single little thing on him because then it's just ridiculous. And then it's taking away from what he is as a player.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. And also the fact that Celtics shot 17 more free throws yesterday. Well, it was just the fact I only mention it because both teams mentioned it in their post-game press conferences, which rarely happens.
Yeah, I saw Giannis's comment.
Yeah,
I liked the way he phrased that.
Ime Udoka did as well. He mentioned the reffing as well. And look, I mean, at the end of the day, Drew Holiday shot 11 of 30. The rest of the Bucks role players weren't great. Giannis Antetokounmpo is the best player in the world. I mean, he is. At the end of the day, and you're witnessing a potential top 5, 10 player of all time. You really are. I mean, he's only 27 still. He's 27 years old, this guy. And he has one of the most accomplished resumes ever. He does. And he might go back to find it very hard to bet against them. He absolutely carried them yesterday. And I think it's very impressive that a Bucks team, in the same way I think that the Sixers did, actually, I don't know if you remember, that they blew a pretty big lead kind of late in the game and then still won at the end of the day. I mean, they're mentally tough. They are a team, before I didn't feel that they were this team that could, as all the champion teams, just flip the switch and be better than everybody else. Sort of like all those LeBron teams did in Cleveland, like some of those Golden State teams did. But they are at this stage. They can. If they feel like they're in trouble, I think this is a team that can just turn it on. Like you said, they're missing, in my opinion, to be in what my opinion is to be their second best player. And this is just about the greatness of Giannis. And Brook Lopez is such a defensive beast. Let me give him a shout out. He is a defensive
You love Brook
monster.
Lopez. I feel like you're always giving him credit.
Dude, I am. I love Brook Lopez. He's a beast. I keep telling you, people were questioning the Bucks earlier in the year because their defense was, he had a huge drop off, and he came back and really fixed their defense. But yeah, But Giannis's greatness is the story of this game. And Jason Tatum got to step up, man. He was being compared to guys like KD. He was being, put in these top 5 conversations. He can't have games like that in game 3 of the second round.
Yeah. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens. I mean, you look at this game also, like Al Horford, 22, 16, and 5.
Yeah.
Like, we're not going to see that from him again. So, you guys like you said, Jason Tatum, he's got to play better. I mean, as a superstar player, I mean, we did see, Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving did have games, that were very bad. But you don't. That's the thing about, Giannis. He doesn't really have a game. Like, you'll never see Giannis have a game where he shoots 4 for 19 ever.
Sure. His game 2 wasn't great, to be fair.
Giannis?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't his best game by any means, but I mean, you look at the stats and it's still.
Yeah, it's crazy. It is.
I mean, Drew Holiday. I mean, Drew Holiday shot 30 shots, 11 for 30. I mean, Drew Holiday is a very underrated piece. I mean, this team's a very solid team. We're going to see what happens. Obviously, game 4. When is that going to be? Tomorrow, I would assume. Yeah, tomorrow. So, very, very big game there. I mean, the Bucks, they could put away Boston here. I mean, we're going to see. It's going to be very interesting. But with that, I think we can move on to a game that's actually going on right now, a series, Dallas and the Phoenix Suns. I mean, this series is interesting because I think Phoenix, everyone would agree, is the team to beat here and is the better team. It's just Luka Doncic is
Luka Doncic, man. Luka Doncic. This is another
player
guy
in this series, and that sometimes can do it. And these players around him, it's not really an elite team by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, Jalen Brunson's a very solid player, though. Spencer Dinwiddie's been very good since he joined Dallas. They've kind of got all these guys that are, solid players, but not real stars. But Luka Doncic, man, I mean, this guy is he's given the Suns a potential run for their money here. I mean, this is a big game 4 that, they're up early. If they go 2-2, I mean, this is anyone's series at that point.
Yeah, I mean, like Luka is a guy who can be one of the greatest playoff performers ever. This is like, you're not going to like me just because you're a Cavs fan. Like, you won't even like the comparison. But this is a dude who can turn it off on the playoffs. And how big of a LeBron fan I am. But this is a dude, like, this is the most I've seen where a dude can just turn it off the playoffs since LeBron. Like,
yeah.
Luka, like, this dude has GOAT potential. I have to say it. He does. He made first team All NBA at age 21. And look, don't discount the Mavericks from winning this Western Conference. We'll see the outcome of the game today, but individual greatness in the NBA can carry you very, very, very far. Especially Luka Doncic, dude. This man is unbelievable. And he always is in the playoffs. And I think a lot of this comes from the fact that, he was playing extremely high level basketball at age 17. Like, he was playing on the highest stage in Europe at age 17, like at a much higher level than what college basketball is, in my opinion, like a much, much higher level. Like the Euro League.
He's playing pro basketball. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. The Euro League is the second best league in the world.
That's where, you look at these college guys and most of them, the guys that don't make the league, that's the type of leagues they're going to, overseas.
Yeah, exactly. So. And like not only that, like he was the MVP of the Euro League at 17. Like this is a different breed of wrestling. And I understand the Suns have Devin Booker, but I wonder if the Suns look and think we could have had that dude because they could have. I mean, DeAndre Ayton is a really solid player, but they're not even going to pay him. They're not even going to keep him. He's leaving because they don't want to pay him. Like Luka is just a special, special playoff performer. And look, Chris Paul and Devin Booker is probably the best backcourt in the NBA right now. Chris Paul has been unbelievable in these playoffs. But Luka, like I said, I don't know what else to talk about on the Mavs besides him because the reason that they're even competitive is because of him. Like I said, like you mentioned, Dinwiddie and Brunson have if they want to win this series, one of them, you might have to have like a Spencer Dinwiddie or Jalen Brunson 40 pieces at a certain point. You might have to have it. But I think this is a series that can absolutely go 7 games, depending on the result today, of course.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. I mean, Mark Cuban, he does a really good job. And he's, I think, desperate to win. And I'm very curious because with Luka, there's got to be such an appeal for some of these free agents potentially to just come on over and join him. I mean,
Yeah.
I think if you give Luka a true number two, I mean, that team could, I mean, we saw they tried with Kristaps and it really didn't work out. They honestly, it didn't screw them because they didn't give up that much to get Kristaps. So it didn't kill them. They just, at this point, though, they need to give him another star, another, playmaker, superstar type. I don't know who that is.
I
Who's going to
think
be.
I think they could really benefit from a defensive anchor. And the name you keep hearing is Rudy Gobert. And I think as much as Rudy Gobert gets flamed, he would probably be a pretty good fit with Luka.
He would. I think that would be a good fit, but I still think that they would need another offensive piece
Agreed.
too. I think that, this team is, with Luka, they have just such a potential edge, and a head start to potentially, finding that, championship team. But we'll see. This team might already be good enough to get far in these playoffs just with Luka, which is scary.
They're up by 11 already. Look,
we'll see. It's going to be very interesting.
I just want to bring something up in relation to Luka. There was talk at a certain point that the Trae Luka trade was a win-win. Come on, people. What are we doing here?
I think everyone would agree that Dallas won, but at the end of the day, it's not like the Hawks lost the trade because Trae Young is such a superstar and that, he's not Luka.
No, sure.
But he's
but Trae Young is top.
They were in the Eastern Conference Finals last year. The Atlanta Hawks have technically had more success.
Yeah, but that's just because we sucked. Yeah, but that's just because we sucked. He shot 5 of 23 in Game 7 of that series.
I'm not saying Trae Young is a stud. He is a stud, but I'm not saying he's Luka at all. I just don't think it's obviously the Hawks would rather have Luka, but at the same time, Trae Young's a stud and they've built their team around him. So I don't think that they're sitting there every day moping about it because they ended up with another superstar, all-star, caliber player who is, going to be their franchise cornerstone for years to come. So, we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's fair. It's fair. But yeah, let's see. Individual greatness, I think, versus this. We'll see.
Yes.
We
will see.
Yeah.
All right. With that, we'll move on to the last series. And this series, this could be, if John Moran is out, I think that this series is over.
Probably over anyway.
John Moran, man, this guy is, we kind of gave him some slack for how he's playing in that Timberwolves series, but he has really stepped up this series. Obviously that Game 2 performance, 48 points, I believe it was. And then, last night, or was it last night?
Yeah, night.
Yeah, last night, 34 piece before, he goes down. This Warriors team, though, is just, it's a deep team. Every player that is playing on this team is a legit, Jonathan Kuminga, this kid is, still so young and has looked really good last night. They've got so many just different players and pieces. Steph Curry, 30 piece. Klay Thompson, had a really good game. Jordan Poole is just an absolute stud. This Golden State team, they might be, I feel like I kind of didn't give them their credit at the beginning of the series or at the beginning of the playoffs.
Yeah.
This team is, they're legit, man. This is a really good, deep team that is well coached. I think it's all going to come down to, it's going to come down to Stephen Curry at the end of the day and how far, what level he can play at. And if he can really lead this team to, I think they'll get through the Grizzlies, but, if they play Phoenix and then obviously whoever comes out of the East, assuming it's, not, Miami, I guess if they get through the East is, a heck of a team, but assuming it's one of these other teams, that's a tough matchup. Absolutely. And I think I favor the Eastern Conference team at this point, honestly.
Yeah.
Potentially in the finals.
I agree. Look, I think that the Warriors experience, I think experience is overrated, but the Warriors experience obviously can't be discounted. But I don't know. I find the East just to be so much better. I think Miami.
I think it's the level of stardom is the difference.
I think
you've got Joel Embiid, Giannis. I think those are two of the best 3, 4, 5 players. Whereas in the West Conference, you got Luka, but Steph's great, but he's not at that level at this point in his career. He's not up there in the top 5 or 6 anymore.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, when he turns it on, he's him. He's goated though, dude. I mean, he's still a great player. Like,
Oh, I'm not. I think he's a top 10, 15 player in the league still. Absolutely. I just don't think.
well, he's also recovering from an injury. To be fair,
Yeah. Well, obviously, there's a lot of things that go into
I
that.
think it's just like, yeah. Well, Warriors Mavs would be very. I really want the Mavs to beat the Suns if I'm being honest, just because I want to see. I'm a fan of these like individual type hero runs because Luca missed the start of these playoffs, which is the craziest part to think about. He wasn't
I
even
think
healthy.
the Jazz just suck.
Yeah, the Jazz joke.
They're gonna blow it up. That
Yeah,
team.
I would imagine Mitchell and Gobert are both out of there, right?
Donovan Mitchell definitely wants out, and I can't imagine they don't try and trade Gobert at that point. I think they'll just totally try and just reset, tear
Yeah,
it down. Quinn Snyder could be gone, honestly. Even though
yeah,
he's a good coach, they just might reset it from top
yeah.
to
I think
bottom.
it's very possible because that core is not winning anything.
No,
Um, yeah, I mean, look, Luca is just. I just want to see the Mavs. I want to see the Mavs win that Western Conference. But look, the word. I think a lot of the word. I think a key player for the Warriors is obviously Klay Thompson. How well is he going to shoot the rock? Like how good is his defense? We'll see. Um, I think Draymond Green is this is a little bit like he is so valuable to that team, man. And they are really just lost when he doesn't play well. So I think Draymond's consistency is another thing to look out for. And I think, look, I think this Memphis Warriors series is pretty much over. And I think the foregone conclusion would have been, Mavs Suns had the Suns could have maybe closed it out last game. But look, Luka Doncic is the story of these Western Conference playoffs so far.
yeah. I'm very curious to see what happens with the West. I mean, I think the playoffs are actually in a good spot. Like in years past, the problem with the NBA has been it's so predictable. Everyone knows it's going to happen. But right now, I mean, it really is fair game for any of these teams. It feels like at this point, in any of these conferences. So I'm very excited to see what happens. And a lot of these teams, I mean, Milwaukee, will Chris Middleton be back in these playoffs? The Grizzlies, John Morant obviously is banged up. I mean, a lot of these teams are, Joel Embiid, can he fully get closer and closer to being fully recovered? Teams are banged up right now, and we're going to see what happens, obviously. But if you had to predict the NBA Finals today, your finals prediction matchup, what would you say as of right now from what you've seen?
I'll say the Warriors and the Bucks, sadly.
I think that's what I would have to say at this point too. I think that Philly would. I think it should be very different if Philly, because I just think Philly right now. I think they're in a hole. I think
I
they're
think
just in a tough hole.
Milwaukee, I think would be a pretty good series. I always think
I
Giannis and
agree, especially if Chris Middleton's out. That's kind of. I think that Philly might be able to honestly win that series if Chris
yeah,
Middleton's
and all
out.
the
I
yeah.
just at this point, I'll be honest. I don't know if they'll be able to. I think that the 2-0 deficit just might kill them. I
I
just
really
think that
hope. I hope you're wrong, but I can definitely we keep saying it, but tonight's the crucial game, man. I mean, I think the winner of this game probably wins the series.
I think if the Heat win tonight, they probably finish it off in Miami. If I'm being
Yeah,
honest.
I would agree. I would agree.
All right. Well, that will do for our NBA talk. We do want to talk a little MLB. This episode will be, relatively short compared to a typical Outside the Arena episode these last few weeks. But we'll talk a little MLB. I mean, obviously, right now the MLB landscape is very interesting. We haven't really talked about the MLB since the start of the season. I mean, where do you want to start with? I mean, what kind of storyline do you want to start off with here?
I mean, we could talk about the Angels, I guess.
Angels, yeah.
We were sort of questioning them at the beginning of the season, and you're not convinced, obviously, by Taylor Ward.
I mean, right now, you look at that division. Houston's won 6 in a row. Seattle's lost 6 in a row.
Yeah,
Seattle, man. I mean, that Seattle's core right now is just not living up to the expectations whatsoever. And I know they're young, but like Jared Kelenic at this point has had a lot of MLB at bats, and there's just no sign of anything at this point. I mean, he'll hit some homers occasionally, but other than that, I mean, it's just I'm not even trying to be like a anti-Jared Kelenic guy because
you're sure no Mets bias is creeping in.
I mean, I still do believe the kid's probably going to end up a solid player, but like, I mean, at this point, it's kind of like you're getting to a point where it's like, what's the deal with this guy? Because it's not. This isn't the first 100 at bats of this guy's career, 200 bats. I mean, it's been a big leaguer for a good bit of time now. So I mean, Julio Rodriguez, I think, has looked good, and he offers a lot. I think he's just figuring it out slowly but surely. Jared Kelenic, I'm a little more worried about, and that Seattle team. I mean, I don't know. I had them as my division winner. I just think Houston might still be the team to beat in that division. I think Houston. I mean, they just reload, man. I mean, Jeremy Pena looks great. I mean, the rotation is young and talented. Verlander looks great. The Angels are so interesting because, I mean, Shohei really hasn't found the groove offensively yet, and that's the crazy thing. Shohei Ohtani has been really not good this year, we'll be honest. And I think Rendon looks kind of potentially even. I don't want to say washed, but at this point, he kind of doesn't have it. Mike Trout is just so good, and obviously, Taylor Ward and guys like that have played well. Noah Syndergaard's pitching well. What are your thoughts on that division? What do you think it'll look like, and what surprised you?
I obviously I had the Astros before the year. I'm gonna say the Astros are gonna win this division. Probably by like 10 or 15 games by the end of it. But yeah, the Mariners are you're a disgrace, Seattle. An absolute disgrace. You got everybody so excited. You have one of the best shortstops in baseball. You've lost
JP Crawford, do you think is one of the best in baseball?
I think this year, you don't think he has been?
He's been pretty good, yeah.
I think he's absolutely been one of the best.
It's crazy though. Well, he was at Philly, right?
Dude, I don't regret the trade because it got us Segura, but he was the number one prospect in baseball for like a lengthy period of time at one point. Yeah.
JP Crawford? No, he wasn't.
Griffin.
Not the number one prospect in baseball. That's not correct.
Griffin. Look at the 2016 MLB Top 100 pipeline. At worst, he was top 3.
What did they trade him for? They said he was number 5. Yeah. Huh. Wow, this is a cool list to look back on.
Yeah,
Corey Seager, number 1. Buxton, Giolito, Urias.
Jesus.
Gallo, Glasnow, Trey Turner, Blake Snell's on the list. Alex Reyes, Barrios.
But yeah, so he was. And then he was terrible in Double and Triple A, JP Crawford. And so he was dropped to like number 65, and they eventually dropped him off the list. And then the Phillies just decided to cut bait because, I don't know, Mariners obviously thought Segura was washed, so we traded him for Segura. I guess it's a win-win, man. Like, I guess it's a win-win. But yeah.
Very interesting. I mean, speaking of the Phillies, we can talk about the Mets and the Phillies in that division. I mean, wow, JP Crawford is 1.7 WAR this year so far. I did not know that.
Dude, he's been great this year.
That's crazy. Wow, good for JP. I mean, he's a solid player. Not good. Yeah, I mean, look at the NL East at the moment. Obviously, the Mets do have a solid lead of about 5 games right now. They're obviously in the midst of a doubleheader. They've kind of cooled off a little bit, though. They're 5-5 in their last 10. They've definitely kind of hit a lull, it seems, offensively. You're shaking your head. I mean, obviously, there was that historic.
You want to talk about that disgrace on Thursday? That disgrace. Thursday?
We can talk about it. I wasn't necessarily even planning to. I mean, it was a crazy game. I think it shows that. I think one thing, if I had to say about the New York Mets this season, is that this is just a group of individuals. This is a actual major leaguers, I think, is the difference. And you've got in the rotation, one of the best rotations in baseball right now without Jacob deGrom. You've got Max Scherzer, Chris Bassett's been amazing. Tyler McGill has really emerged. Cookie Carrasco has been really good, obviously, except for that St. Louis start. So I think the Mets are in a solid spot. I mean, I think they just need to string together some more wins. They need to win the second game of the doubleheader today. Both the Mets and Phillies really could use that game. The Mets need it to keep the momentum rolling. Phillies need it to start the momentum. But right now the NL East, Nats have always been known to be out of it. The Braves really have been,
yeah.
I'm not surprised. I mean, I'm not.
I
am surprised.
They are.
Yeah, they are going to win the day, but it's been a slow start for them. But that's what happened last year, and they won the World Series. So we'll see. But what are your thoughts on the escape of the NL East? I mean, obviously, I'm really happy with how the Mets are playing. I think that this team is poised for a very successful season, barring injury, of course. What are your thoughts on the Phillies? I mean, it's been a slow start so far for
Yeah,
the
I mean,
team. For Kyle Schwarber had a slow start. He's heated up though recently.
yeah, Schwarber is definitely Schwarber had a terrible start to the year, but he's been pretty good for like the last 2 weeks, I would say.
Yeah.
Um, look, I texted Griff earlier. I said Bryce is like the only good player on the team, and like sometimes I just feel like that's too often the case. Where like still, even with Cassidy and Schwarber on the team, like he's still the only one that can like get us going, and it sucks because he can't even play the field. And I don't know if you saw
Is
that
he still
Frankie
like really injured? Like, what's the whole deal?
he's
Yeah.
hurt. His arm is still really hurt. He can't play the field. Um, I don't know if you saw that Lindor hit earlier, but like Castellanos was really sus on that. Like, what was he
I
doing there?
mean, well, the balls are just like dead as they can get. I mean, that ball
Dead.
should have been like 20 rows back. Like,
Yeah, like what? Bryce hit one 409 at City and it didn't let go out or something? Like, it's such a weird.
balls are just
Yeah,
dead
no,
as it gets right now. I
yeah,
mean, that Sunday night game though, I'm telling you, and I saw some article that the Mets players think they're juiced for national TV, and I
there
honestly
is.
agree
I
with
think
that. Like,
everybody. I think all players think that. I think.
I was there at that game, the Sunday night Mets game. I was watching batting practice. Literally, players could not hit the baseball out of the park. I mean, it was actually insane. Like I was there for Phillies BP, and I saw Schwarber hitting. I think Harper might have been hitting at one point. Like good, legit MLB players. I saw probably like 6 or 7 home runs total. And then Sunday night baseball comes on, and everyone's hitting the baseball out of the ballpark. I mean, it made no sense. Schwarber was up there. He couldn't hit a home run to save his life in batting practice, and then just can't stop hitting home runs in the game. I mean, it's like, could they try and be any more discreet? I mean, the baseballs are really messed up right now. I don't know what is going on, but
Yeah,
I mean, you saw the Lindor home. I mean, no, there was some wind there, but I mean, that ball, he even thought it was Lindor thought that
yeah,
ball
and
was,
then it
I mean, that
died.
should have been
Yeah,
gone. That should have been gone.
yeah. I mean, look, the balls are
And
crazy.
then also the in the crazy comeback game, the one Marte hit to take the lead, that was a bomb, man. That was a bomb and
Yeah, dude.
barely
Listen,
saved it.
you're preaching to the choir right now. I think the Philly. It's really unfortunate for the Phillies who are so reliant on hitting home runs. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, look, second game of this doubleheader. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you, it's the 28th game of the season for the Phils, but like, this is an important ass game to get a series. Like, we've lost a lot of series, dude. We've lost 6 of our first 8 series. We need a series win. And I'm counting this as a series win, even though the game was rained out yesterday. I'm going to count this as a 3
Yeah,
games.
it's a 3-game series. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we need, you know, but we need to win tonight. Like, we need a series win over the Mets. Because look, I think as long as you're not like 10 games back, 15 games back at the end of May, like you're by no means you're
Yeah.
not out of it. So that's my goal for them. Keep it within 5 to 7 games by the end of this month. See if and let's put just like string some wins together. That's what I gotta say.
Yeah. I mean, I do just want to say the Cincinnati Reds may be one of the most
Yeah,
disgraceful franchises of all time.
my
I mean,
favorite.
look, they've
Yeah,
also had some tough luck. I mean, their best players are like all injured right now, and like
but
Jonathan India,
regardless,
yeah, just
disgraceful, disgraceful. Like I
4 and
wonder.
23.
Yeah, this is why they need a salary floor.
Oh
This is
man,
why they need a salary floor, and I can't believe they're worried about teams spending too much money, which is just they're
it's
trying to.
crazy that a guy like Steve Cohen is being punished when
Yeah,
the
and look,
Reds guy.
the Dodgers as well. I mean, people criticize the crap out of the Dodgers, and I get why because they're kind of like the super team, but like whatever. But like this is just like the Reds are a disgrace to baseball. And like what annoyed me the most is that they pretended like they were fielding a competitive baseball team. Like, I don't know if you've seen this video of like the president of the Reds,
Yeah,
this
I've seen it.
idiot. He's like, "We're gonna field a team that's gonna make you proud." Like, come on, dude. You don't have to pretend. The Sixers, like, I lived with a team that tried to lose for 3 years in a row, and they didn't pretend about it. Everybody knew what was going on. Like, don't try to convince us of your bullshit because you don't want to spend money. That's what I have to say. Be
I just
honest
feel
about
bad.
be
I feel
honest
bad.
about what you are.
I just feel bad for the fans, man, because I mean, it's 27 games into their season, and they're I would never put on the game for the rest of the year. I mean, it's so sad. Like as a person who loves baseball, I just can't imagine it. I mean, 27 games into your season, there's just no incentive or even reason to watch a baseball game. I mean, it's just insane. It should never be the case. Even for a team like Pittsburgh, who sucks. I mean, they're 11-15. Like, they're at least like, you're not done for the season yet. You're not packing your bag. 4-23. I mean, it's over. Like, it's eliminate them from contention at this point. They're done. They're in the sunken place. They're never coming out. And it's a shame. It's a shame for baseball that this is happening right now. I mean, the stupid thing is, there's no incentive. The tanking system with the new draft lottery.
I was about to say, there's no incentive to tank anymore.
They're not guaranteed anything at this point. Yeah, especially in the MLB draft, man. And the MLB draft, these players you're not going to see in the big leagues for maybe if you draft a college player like 2 seasons, but it could be even longer if you draft a high school kid. And it's like, if that doesn't work, I mean, it's not where the NFL is like, you have a superstar in college who's played there for 3 years and is going to go right there and make a huge impact. These players aren't doing anything right away. There's just, in MLB, I truly believe there's no incentive to tank because there's no instant gratification because these guys go through the minor leagues for years. And MLB is one of the sports where a lot of these guys, like, there's only been I think like 2 number 1 overall picks, one number 1 overall pick to make the Hall of Fame. Like, a lot of these guys don't even turn out to be superstars. It's crazy. I mean, we'll see what happens, obviously. I just think that MLB right now, I think baseball is the sport where I understand in the NBA and the NFL, because especially in the NFL where right now it's guaranteed to get the top pick and how that works. I understand being bad can sometimes lead to good things, but being bad in baseball, I mean, it's just poor Reds fans are just going to see a bad team for 3, 4, 5 seasons now. And it's going to be an awful team.
Sorry, Mets up 2-0.
How?
I just got the alert. Hold on. Pete, fucking Alonso homer. God damn it.
He was due.
God damn it.
And Chris Bassett's on the hill. I like that.
Cristobal Sanchez is so bad.
Why is he getting the start today?
Because we don't have anybody. Wheeler and
Eflin, I saw.
Yeah.
Was one of them supposed to pitch today?
I think Eflin was.
Damn. Brutal.
Yeah. Not good.
What goes wrong for the Phils will go wrong.
Exactly. Well, that also happens when you this happened to us a lot last year because we have guys who are just not we just why does it always
the vaccination rate's low or what?
We had the lowest vaccination rate in the league last year, sadly. by a lot.
That's just regardless of what you think.
Not only that, they brought in 2 more guys who didn't get it. Knable and Hand, both of them. They had to make sure. Well, I mean, at least we know it's a good culture fit.
Oh man, the Phillies. Oh.
Go Phils, baby. Go Phils.
Just a fun team. All right. Well, is there? I mean, kind of covers most of it, honestly.
Yeah. I think we can.
Yeah. All right. With that, thank you guys for watching. We appreciate it greatly. Stay tuned for a lot of content for my senior project. I'm going to be working on this, so expect a lot more content than particularly usual. We're still going to be doing our weekly episodes, obviously, but there's going to be a lot of stuff on the page, so stay tuned. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what you want to see in the comments. We're going to start definitely having some interviews. I know I've got a few already in the works, so should be exciting times. But with that, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to follow us on our social medias and all that. And yeah, see you all next week on Outside the Arena.